Remember BeReal, the supposedly healthy alternative to Instagram where you're randomly prompted to post a picture sometime during the day? Well, they're getting annihilated. In fact, they've been in freefall for the past year. Daily active users plummeted by 61%, from 15 million in October of 2022 to less than 6 million by March of 2023. More recent statistics suggest that this may have fallen even lower to 2.93 million daily active users, which makes perfect sense if you look at Google Trends. According to Google, interest in BeReal is down 82% since the peak. Compare this with Instagram's Google Trends graph and you'll really see just how poorly BeReal is doing. But what happened? Wasn't BeReal supposed to be the healthy social media alternative that encouraged people to be more real? Well, it turns out that while that's intriguing on paper, people aren't actually all that interested in that reality. So here's the rise and fall of BeReal and what this means for the future of social media. Taking a look back, while BeReal didn't blow up till 2022, the roots of the app can actually be traced back to 2020 to a Frenchman named Alexis BeReal. There's not much information about Alexis online. In fact, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page despite creating an app that's been downloaded over 100 million times. But honestly, given what type of app BeReal is, this seems perfectly in character. What we do know about Alexis' background is that he used to work at GoPro in Munich, Germany. He stuck with this job till early 2019 before leaving to found BeReal in June of 2019. From there, he worked on developing the app for about 6 months before launching BeReal in January of 2020. Unlike other social media platforms, however, BeReal didn't just blow up immediately. In fact, it only got 20,000 downloads throughout all of 2020. For perspective, Instagram got more users within the first day itself, coming in at 25,000. Within the first week, this grew to 100,000 users, and within 2 months, this grew to 1 million users. So, safe to say that BeReal did not have the same virality as Instagram from the get-go, but Alexis wasn't gonna quit that easily. He strongly believed that all BeReal was lacking was exposure. If he could just get BeReal in front of enough people, surely people would see the value. That, however, was a lot easier said than done. In fact, BeReal's first plan of action was to literally pay people to use the app. They offered college students $50 to download and review the app and $30 per referral. This might not sound too bad, but it adds up really quickly. For example, you know how they got 20,000 downloads within the first year? Even if we assume that 15,000 of that was organic and only 5,000 was paid, we're talking about $150,000 to $250,000 just to get 5,000 downloads. And keep in mind, that's downloads, not daily or even monthly active users. If only 1,000 of these downloads converted to real users, we're talking about $150 to $250 per user. Talk about a sky-high user acquisition cost. Fortunately, BeReal soon found a much more cost-effective growth strategy. Instead of paying people to download the app, they would start sponsoring college parties at campuses across France. The only rule to get into these parties was that each attendee needed to get at least 5 of their friends to download BeReal. To be honest, I'm sure a lot of these college students were gaming the system, but nonetheless, this led to thousands of downloads from each college. BeReal would eventually expand this strategy to American colleges as well, like Harvard. And repeating this strategy dozens of times allowed BeReal to slowly grow into the hundreds of thousands of downloads and eventually reach nearly 2 million downloads by the end of 2021. But while this was an impressive feat, in the grand scheme of things, BeReal was still an extremely niche social media app. Again, using Instagram as an example, they have nearly 4 billion downloads. So BeReal was only about 0.05% the size of Instagram, even with nearly 2 million downloads. But all of this was about to change in 2022. BeReal loves to proudly claim that they're the anti-social network all over their marketing. Their App Store caption is literally, "not another social network," and their description proudly claims that there are no filters and no likes on BeReal. But ironically, it wasn't this authenticity that eventually allowed BeReal to go viral. It was actually filters and likes. What do I mean, you ask? Well, it's not like tens of millions of people just suddenly realized that traditional social media isn't good for their mental health and started embracing BeReal. No, the secret behind BeReal's success was actually TikTok, the exact opposite of everything they stand for. You see, a couple of creative TikTokers figured out a unique way to use BeReal's format to create viral content on TikTok. If you're not familiar with BeReal's format, essentially the app prompts you to take a selfie and a picture with your rear camera at the same time. This is supposed to capture a genuine glimpse of your life at some point, but it turns out that this can lead to quite a few viral moments. For example, this woman had a BeReal right before her surgery began. This woman had a slew of BeReals at Harry Styles concerts. This woman had a BeReal just as a massive snake was slithering across her house. And this woman had a BeReal as she was skydiving. These sorts of BeReals were posted all across TikTok, pulling in millions, if not tens of millions of views each. While this trend started off pretty wholesome, it turned pretty dangerous pretty quickly. People would start doing BeReals regardless of the situation just to potentially capture a viral image. For example, remember how this woman captured a fun BeReal right before her surgery? Well, it's not quite as wholesome from the other side, especially during the surgery. The same could be said about this situation, and this situation, and this situation, and so many more. You know those people who stand dangerously close to the edge of the Grand Canyon for the perfect Instagram pic? Well, this was basically the BeReal equivalent of that. Not at all what the creator intended, but nonetheless, this is what would end up going viral on TikTok and helping BeReal itself go viral. BeReal would go from millions of downloads to tens of millions of downloads basically overnight, and VCs would eat this up. In fact, VCs would value BeReal at a whopping $630 million, despite not having any way of generating revenue. And this would allow BeReal to raise an impressive $60 million. BeReal would use this funding to develop new viral features like recap videos, which performed even better on TikTok. And before you knew it, BeReal would go from struggling to get 20,000 downloads to pulling in over 80 million downloads. Quite an impressive turnaround, but unfortunately for BeReal, this sudden burst of momentum would fade away just as quickly as it came. There's no easy way to put this. BeReal's relevance is dissipating faster than fidget spinners. BeReal's daily active users are down from 15 million in October of 2022 to 2.93 million in February of 2024. That's an 81% decline, which exactly matches what Google Trends suggests. While this is disappointing any way you look at it, it might not be the end of the world. 2.93 million users is still plenty of users to monetize. Wait, never mind. BeReal currently has no way to monetize their user base, and I don't mean that in a relative sense. For example, WhatsApp has nearly 3 billion monthly active users, but they only pull in 1.2 billion in revenue. That right there is relatively low revenue, but that's not the case with BeReal. BeReal does not just have relatively low revenue, they literally have zero revenue. The company does not generate any revenue whatsoever from the app and relies solely on VC money. This isn't too bad of a strategy if you have a longer-term monetization plan and are able to continuously show tremendous user growth, but BeReal doesn't have either. Their social relevance is down at 82%, which I don't think VCs will view all that favorably, especially if BeReal is looking to raise at a valuation higher than $630 million. This is only made worse by the fact that monetization is basically impossible for BeReal. Of course, they've got some ideas like incorporating ads into the home feed and selling virtual goods, but that would make them the same as any other social media platform. I mean, personally, I don't have any problems with these methods of monetization, but I also suspect that BeReal will face quite a bit of backlash if they implemented these models. The only monetization model that wouldn't really conflict with their principles would be some sort of paid subscription, but it's not clear how many users would convert to such a model. Honestly, it seems that the best way forward for BeReal right now is to just raise a down round or be acquired by a big tech company who can indefinitely support a money pit just to control more users. And that brings us into the inevitable fate of BeReal. If we're being real, the reality is that BeReal will go bankrupt unless they're able to lock in another round of funding or get acquired. But putting aside the financials of BeReal, I think there's a much bigger lesson here, a philosophical glimpse into the world of social media. While BeReal always wanted to be this anti-social network that did things the opposite way, what they ended up figuring out the hard way is that there is no market for that, at least not any sort of Instagram or TikTok-sized market. That's why it was so hard for BeReal to gain traction initially. They were literally paying college students to use the app and forcing them to download it to get into college parties. And the moment at which BeReal did go viral had nothing to do with the company's initial intent. BeReal didn't go viral because it was genuine or authentic or real. It went viral for all the exact reasons that they stand against. Likes, views, virality, fame, followers, etc. Those were the BeReals that actually grew BeReal. Once that fad died off though, all BeReal had was being the anti-social network. And while that was something that people philosophically agreed with, it's not exactly something that they were propelled to keep using. And I think that's really the key takeaway from all of this. Instagram and TikTok aren't the toxic dumps that they are because that's what Facebook and ByteDance want to create. It's because that's what people want to consume. Yes, most of the stuff on there is fake and is done for the gram, but that's precisely why people use these apps in the first place. They go there to momentarily escape their current reality, to look at people who seemingly have it all and are living it up. Without that appeal, there is no appeal. Why go on social media just to see that everyone else is just like you? And social media is just one example of that. You can find the same sort of trend in any consumer industry like fast food. Everyone knows that fast food is unhealthy and even deadly, but the largest restaurant chain in the world isn't a salad joint, it's McDonald's, and the reason for that is pretty simple. While McDonald's food isn't healthy, it's pretty darn good, not to mention affordable. It's the exact same thing with social media. While Instagram isn't healthy, it's pretty darn addicting, not to mention monetizable. BeReal, on the other hand, is lacking the addiction factor and the monetization factor. And without the key ingredients that make a social media platform successful, well, you can't really be successful, and that's what happened to BeReal. Another anti-social media platform is Signal, which is trying to take down WhatsApp. Check out this video to learn how that's going, but until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.